fliko.
And people will make you feel like being on your computer all day, being on social media all day, being on Discord all day, it doesn't add up to anything. I'll tell you this, the reason why in my first internships, I excelled way more than other people. The reason why the first time I started working for managers and going to studios, I did well was because I was so hyper aware of everything going on every blog, every tweet between every artist from 2009 that I was into, every single post on every social media account from all the people I was a fan of. I'm not afraid to say, like, I was a real stan of everybody that I wanted to work with. When I got to the studio with them, I wouldn't sit there and say, oh, I know this about you. Oh, I watched this. Oh, da-da-da. You got to figure out how to be a normal person and how to not be weird. That's a big part of moving forward in any industry. But studying and being on social media and learning stuff in all these Discords and these comment sections and these tutorial videos, if you do that for days and days and days and days on your phone and your computer over and over with all your free time, you are learning a skill set that gets paid very well if you know how to do this. People make you feel like just being on your computer and just watching stuff and paying attention to social media doesn't add up to anything. But how are there so many social media managers, and how are there people like Lil Nas X who are in Nicki Minaj like fan clubs on the internet, who now is better at using his social media than any artist his size or bigger? He was someone who was really on the internet in a major way, was a major fan of Nicki Minaj, ran all these fan pages for years. He has a different sense of how this works. There's some of you guys who right now, your music skill might be outweighed by, you know what I mean, how much time you're spending on social media, or the amount of time you spend making music maybe needs to come up a little bit versus how much time you're watching trends and how much time you're listening to stuff. But it's all useful. Don't let people make you feel like it's not useful just because you might not be in the act of making a new beat or getting better at writing songs or making a new networking connection. It's true. When you're someone who's hyper aware on social media in this day in 2023, it's like unarguable that that can be a benefit to you. If people don't have to explain to you, if people don't have to explain slang terms to you, politics, industry terms, how business works, being patient when it comes to certain money stuff and credit stuff and all these things, if you can just watch enough streams of me and 10 other producers, enough tutorials from 5 different places, talk to enough people in enough Discords about their experiences, this and that, you can walk into your first studio session or your first real meeting at a label or whatever it is way more educated than I did. I don't have to tell people that whenever content started working for me on YouTube, and a thing like this channel that we're on right now, or the live shows that I do, or just don't overthink shit as a brand in general, that my career as a producer got way bigger. It doesn't mean because I did other things outside of just making beats and signing people's publishing that those other things were just random. They fed back into music. It wasn't just like, oh, I went over here and did content and now content's a different thing that I do. The Cave got me placements and made people want to work with me. There's so many people that I thought were gonna write me off because they're gonna think I'm Logan Paul because I'm a YouTube presence. And if people don't know that, like, I did whole projects for all these albums, I was producing records for TDE when I was in my teens. If people didn't know these things about me and they just saw me on YouTube, I was so self-conscious that they were gonna think like, oh, this is just a producer who makes content, who got some of these rappers to show up. That kind of used to make me real nervous. And then I'd get to work on a song with Twigs and Future, and then I'd get a session with somebody who's kind of hard to work with, and then somebody else would ask me to come on the show, and I would be like, oh my God, some of these other things that are outside of just making beats or whatever are making music for me more possible, or getting me into the rooms I wanted to be in. We got over 500 something thousand subscribers the first year we started The Cave. The amount of music look at how many releases I was on in those years that surrounded that. If you don't think one fed into the other, it's crazy. But now there's people who start and they get known from social media first. I'm very proud of the fact that music is still the thing that does the best on all my pages, and no one would be watching my Twitch right now if they didn't know a YoungBoy song I did, a Dominic Fike song I did, a Ed Sheeran song I did, a Thug song I did, an Idols record I did, a Vince Staples thing I did, a Rico thing I did, a Freddie Gibbs. Like, people all converge now because they know I made all this music. So when I talk about the industry, or I talk about getting fucked over, or I talk about where I'm at right now in my career, that's why anyone gives a fuck. That's why people join my beat battles. That's why people watch my content, is because of the music. Some people who start with content, they start making beats in front of a camera, and they get really popular doing that, but they've never produced for an artist. That's where I'm seeing people having a tough time trying to figure it out here and there. Trust me, social media and being aware of social media, if I didn't watch the 100 million producer videos and Ryan Leslie videos and Rhythm Roulette videos and Genius Deconstructed and Rap City The Basement, there would never have been The Cave. I would never have been like, oh, I want to get Doja Cat or Thundercat or Mac DeMarco or Sada Baby to come rap. I never would have thought of that if it wasn't for all the time I spent watching all this content. You guys watch my Twitch, you're going to do something better than this. It doesn't mean you're wasting your time because you're not always advancing. It does mean you're studying at this point. Now in 2023, you guys have a real argument that if you learn ear training over here, you learn harmony over here, you learn counterpoint from this website, you learn chord structures and inversions from YouTube, y'all can literally take an entire course from any conservatory in the country on a few different websites on the internet for maybe at total a couple $100 if you have to buy a master class or something like that. It's nothing wrong with these schools, and I'm not hating on a school I went to or any other school that I know about or I've spoken at or anything like that. The point is, if you really know what you're looking for and what you need to teach yourself, that's true of any college. If you knew what the curriculum was at Harvard, you could have just read the books yourself and, you know what I mean, try to analyze it via essays you've read, you know what I mean, in other libraries. Like, you can say this about anything. I'm not saying anything that's that crazy, but studying and watching how everybody else does things to know how you're going to approach it different, I think that that's just as valuable as studying for any college course. I think paying attention to everything on social media, watching Twitch channels and production videos and music videos and whatever behind the scenes stuff you can, to me, that's studying. Especially if you really do it the way I did and you don't forget one detail and you watch the same video 5 times and you're really obsessed with producers, artists, songwriters, info, whatever it is.